Okay, now well, I'll send the timetable, right? When is maths? First exam maths. Maths. Okay, 15th. Three hours. Maths. Okay, students, fine. 15. Shall we start frequency distribution chapter? See, frequency distribution is easy if you compare to other chapters. You'll have all the questions, or is any question cancelled in frequency distribution? Yes, students, unmute. Mm, Can you check your notes or text? All the, I mean, yes, start. Okay, frequency distribution. What do you all mean by frequency distribution? You all know what is frequency distribution? Okay, frequent. What's the word frequent, students? Repeating or reoccurring, right? Very good. Repeating. Frequency is nothing but frequently happening, frequently or repeating. Fine. Distribution is arranging or arrangement in specific order, in order. This chapter deals with data. Okay, this chapter deals with data. What are data, students? What do you mean by data? What do you mean by data? Yes, information basically in the form of numbers. Whenever we talk about data, data are information basically in the form of numbers. Data deals only with numbers. Fine, and there are a lot of terminologies here. You have upper class, lower class data, primary data, secondary data, variables. We'll start from the beginning. So data meaning is numbers, and this, when we talk about numbers, for example, there are 8 students now. Let me take A, student A, B, C, D, 4 students, and marks, not 4 students. I'll take around 10 students marks. 10 students marks. I'll write those data in maths. In mathematics, out of 100 students, out of 100, few have scored 50. One has scored 40, one student. Next, 35, 65, 70, 40, 35, 90, again 40, 55. Okay, total how many datas are given here? Total 10. So these data, the collection of these datas, we call them raw data. The collection of these numbers are known as raw data. Okay, first thing, frequency distribution. Frequent is repeating. Distribution is arrangement. What do we arrange? We arrange datas. Fine. Then when we talk about data collection, we collect their maths marks. Okay. This whatever we collect, it is not arranged. We call it as raw data. It is not arranged in order. You can arrange them in two ways. One is ascending and the other one is descending. How do you arrange this in ascending order, students? What is ascending order? From small to big. Which is the least number, lowest number we have? 35. How many times 35 is present? Twice. In the same way, 40 is present twice. 50, 55, it goes. Okay, yeah, 3 times. I have written 3 times. 40, 50, and it goes on. What's the highest number? Highest is 9. And descending order. Okay, so each and everything you'll have to remember. Next, descending order. Descending order is the reverse from bigger number to smaller number. 90, it goes on up to, you should arrange everything in order up to 35. This arrangement is known as arranged data or array. Okay. So raw data is not arranged. We just collect information. Then we have arranged data. Fine. We have arranged data. Next, as a teacher, if I go through the marks students, 10 students marks. So I mean, if you were a teacher, okay, and you are going through this marks, 10 students, what suggestions can you all make? What informations do you all collect from this marks? Can you all tell me what information? I'll take, yeah. What information can be collected? How many students have passed? Or how many students have failed? How many students have failed? Let's keep 40 as passing mark. Passing mark is 40. Okay, 40 is passing mark. How many students have failed? Students have failed. Of 10, if 2 students fail, how many students have passed? 8. In that distinction, okay, distinction, let me say above 80. Above 80. How many students have scored above 80? 1. Okay. Those who scored above 80, fine. Those who have failed, so what do they need? They need extra class, right? They need extra classes. They need special attention, extra classes, notes, whatever it is. This study, whatever we study based on this data, we call it as statistics. What do you call? Statistics. So don't get confused with these words. Data is different. Data is just numbers. When you collect data, there are two types: raw data, arranged data. Raw data is in mixed form, randomly written. Arranged data, ascending order and descending order. And you study those data. Okay, we study those data, and that study is known as statistics. It is a part of study, statistics. So statistics, when it is singular, you take it as a subject. Okay, plural form. For both, we use the same spelling, statistics. When it is in, we use it in a plural form, we call it as data. So statistic, there is a subject. In 11th and 12th, you'll have a subject statistics. We're not talking about that. We are talking about numbers, data, plural form. Okay, so the study of this is known as statistics. Next, this, now mathematics is written here. If I give the same thing, now As a teacher, you have written the marks. You have arranged them in order, right? You have arranged it in order. And let me add few more numbers. 55 is given. Okay. Yes. To this, I'll add few more numbers. To this, let me add. Okay. Now these are the numbers, students. These are the numbers. I've added few more numbers here. Let's say around 20 or 30 students. This we have to arrange in form of a table. Fine. We need to arrange in form of a table, tabular form. That we call it as tabular form. Basically, arranging. You have to arrange them. So how do you arrange this? Just think and tell me, how do you arrange this? How can you learn? How can you arrange it? Yes. How many times the number is repeated? Okay. What are these students? Aren't they class marks? Marks, right? So when you write a table, you write marks here. Marks. Then there are three things. Tally marks. I'll tell you the difference. Marks, tally marks, and frequency. So if you just present this data as a teacher, you collected the information. After this, what do we do, student? Is this arrayed data or raw data? Whatever we have collected now. This is not, you cannot arrange it. What's the second step we do? You have to arrange them. Yes, very good. Raw data. Next, you arrange them. Once you arrange, you learn that entire thing. I mean, you go through the marks, who's got highest, least, who needs special class, all those things. That is known as statistics data. Now, what you have to do? The same data you are going to show it to your principal. Your principal will ask. If you give it in this form, she will definitely not be impressed, right? She won't know how to study these data. So what you have to do as a teacher, you have to arrange them in order. This is known as frequency distribution. You have to distribute. So how do you distribute? So the marks, what's the minimum marks they have scored? What's the least marks? 30, highest, around 95. So what you do, you have to split them into groups. If you just start writing here, okay, if you write 35 marks, then you write 55, 90, it will take lot of space, right? It would take lot of space. So it would look clumsy. And the principal or higher authority, I mean, not principal, example, teachers, I mean, parents. If you show to parents, they won't understand this, right? So to summarize this in a clean and neat form, what we do, we group them in terms of numbers. So just because 35 is the least number, you can start with 30. You can start from 30 to 40, one group. Then 40 to 50, another group. 50 to 60. Okay, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 80 to 90, 90 to 100. This is known as grouped data. We group them in terms of data. Now from 30 to 40, 30 to 40, 41, 51, 61, 71, 81, 91 to 100. So first thing, collect data, raw data. We arrange them in terms of array or arrayed data. We call array data. Then we simplify them in form of a table. This is known as tabular form, representing in tabular form. Now 30 to 40, look at all these data and tell me from 30 to 40 students, what are the numbers given? 35. Next, it should be from 30 to 40. 35 is 1, 40. Yeah, next. No, no, again 40. Yeah, 40, 35. Next, again we have 40. What else? That's it, right? So from 30 to 40, how many numbers are present? Yeah, So the frequency will be 5 here. You group it. Frequency will be 5. Okay. How many times it is present from 30 to 40? Those who have scored, the frequency is 5 students. 5. Next, from 41 to 50. Check from 41 to 50. We have 55, 2, even 50 you have to consider. 50, 55, only 2, right? From 41 to 50, 2. Okay, fine. 55, 50, it comes. Okay, sorry. 55. So in like this, we arrange them, students. Like this, you arrange. Just imagine you get numbers here. You get certain numbers. After counting everything, you arrange. Okay, 1, then think 4, 3, 7, 2, and 3. So this frequency represents number of students. Okay, tally marks is nothing but we draw lines according to frequency. 5 students were there from 30 to 40. You draw lines like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maximum 5. For sixth line, no, for 4 lines you have to draw like this. Every fifth line you have to you have to strike a line on top of that. This is how we represent 5. And for 1 it is simple. For 4, 4 lines. For 3, 3 lines. For 7, how do you draw for 7 students? 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth line should be, no, you should strike on top of it. Next, 5 is done, 6 and 7. And 2, 3. Now which one looks simplified? The raw data or like this, arranged in table? Yes. Now tabular form. Now when your principal asks how many students have scored between 60 and 70, you can put 3 students. So this middle is for computer purpose, students. Tally marks is for computer purpose. Computer and other electronic purpose. This lines which we draw. Numbers is for us to understand, right hand side. But both are same. Remember, these are the 3 things you have to do: marks, tally marks, and frequency. Okay. Next, if principal asks you how many students have failed, that is between 30 and 40, how many students have failed? 5 students. It is very easy to calculate like this. How many students have scored above 90? 3. So this entire thing is known as frequency distribution, tabular form. Understood? Arranging in tabular form. You'll have such questions. You have to arrange in tabular form. Frequency is number of students. In this, there are 2 types. One is there are a lot of data, 35 to 92. Okay, the minimum number was 35, maximum number was up to 95. So I've taken up to 100. I've grouped it. This is one form. The other form is you won't have multiples number like this. I mean, you won't have many numbers. You won't have difference. Look, here the difference is 30 students. 35 was least, 95 was highest. So in between there are a lot of numbers, right? In between the difference, yeah, the difference is more. Whenever the difference is more, we need to group them. Remember that. Whenever the difference is more, we need to group. Okay. Next. Now let me take age. Now age of students. Age of students. Let me say from 5th standard to 10th standard age. Okay. Now few students, just for example, will be 12, 12, some 13, some 15, 15, again 13. You keep randomly asking students about the age. Okay. Then some 15, again 15, 12, 13, 14, again 15, 13, 12, 14, 15. Now tell me the least number students. Tell me the lowest value. What's the lowest value? Highest value? 15. Is there much difference or very small difference between 12 and 15? Small difference. So that time we don't need to group. Don't need to group 11 to 12, 12 to 1. That is not required. You can directly write 12, 13, 14. What are the different types of numbers present? Delisha, when did you leave? Okay, fine. Here, tell me the different types of number, students. What are the different types of numbers present? Tell me different types of numbers. 12, 13, 14 and 15. So this is known as age. Look here. This is how we write table for this age. Here there are just 4 different types of numbers, not much. I mean not many, there are only 4 different types. Tally marks. Tally marks, frequency. This is known as frequency. Both are frequency distribution. The first which I showed, even that is frequency. Okay, fine. Initially I told you all the meaning of frequency is, what do you mean by frequency, students? Repeating. How many times it is repeating or occurring, right? Now look at 12, count all the 12s. How many times 12 is repeating? 4. So how many students are there with age 4? I mean age 12? 4 students. Now 13. What about 13? 3. What about 14 students? 14? Again 3. 15? So how do you write for 5? How do you draw tally marks? 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth line should, your fifth line on top, cross. Fifth line should be crossed on top of that 5. Look. So there are 2 different types. One, when you have very less data. When you have less data, we don't need to group them. Remember, no grouping is required. You can directly write 12, 13. You can add even one more thing. Those who are 16, 17, even that is fine. Okay, 16, 17, up to 8, 9 numbers enough students. Like this, you can write it. Now, this, whatever we have written, we call raw data. Then, once you arrange them, I didn't arrange here. If you arrange, you call it as array or arranged data. You call array. Then, that you write in terms of table. Like this, you call frequency distribution table. We have distributed it in terms of frequency. Okay, now it looks in a simplified form. If you want to check how many students are at age 14, how many students of age 14? Now, here you'll get the total students here. Look here. Frequency is nothing but total students present. Total students. Now add up all the students. Add up what is 4 plus 3? 7 plus 3? 10, 10 plus 5? So how many data we have? 15 students data. Okay. That you have to that has to match with this one. Whatever I've written. If you count, it should match. 4 times, okay, 13 is present, 4. So 16 students. So total we have 16 students arranged in the form of table. This is known as frequency distribution. Is it clear? Understood? So here, how many datas we have students? Age. When it comes to age, we have only one value present, right? 12, 13, 14, 15, only one value. Only one value. But here, how many values do we have? 1 or 2 values? 2 values. So there is a range here. Okay, there is a range. Range in the sense, one lower value and upper value. This 30 we call it as lower value. Okay, we'll see what they've given for that. Lower limit students, lower limit. When do we get lower limit? Only when you group. If this is lower limit, what about 40? Upper limit. Remember these 2 things. Lower limit, upper limit. Okay, lower limit, upper limit. Now, normal table is done. Frequency where there are very less number of terms like 12, 13, 14, 15. We draw table like this. You don't need to group. Fine. When there are a lot of numbers, in the first example, there are a lot of numbers like this. Okay, 35, 90, 55. Just imagine students, if you don't group them, 35, 45, 55, you keep writing, right? It goes on. Will the table be small or big? It will be too big, yes. And it is not well defined. The table will not be distributed evenly. So that is the reason you group it. You group like this, upper limit, lower limit. And there are a lot of terms related to this. I'll teach you that later. After this, next. Even in this, there are 2 types of arrangement. There are 2 types of arrangement. Now, can you tell me this class? This marks whatever we have written. This entire thing we call it as class interval. Remember this class interval. Don't have to write anything. I'll mark it in textbook. What is required, I'll tell you can mark it later. So there is lot of thing to explain, students. This entire class will go only for explanation. Evening will start solving. Okay, you have to remember these terms. We call this as class interval. Fine. The first table, whatever you write, you call class interval. On top of that, what are these actually? What are we taken? What data are these? What are these data? Marks. They are marks, right? So basically, it is class interval. On top of that, you can write marks. If it is marks, you can write marks. If it is age, write it as age. Weight, you can write it as weight. All these things. Okay. Even in data, there are two types. All that is not required. I'll just use textbook to explain that. Fine. Now, here there is data, raw data is done. Yeah. In distribution, students, we call this as frequency distribution. In this, we have two types. One is exclusive form or continuous. We call exclusive or continuous interval. Okay. Can you see class interval? I've written class interval, right? The first table is class interval, first column. Okay. Exclusive form or continuous interval. Exclusive or continuous. What do you mean by that? Exclusive or continuous? Look here. First, we'll start with continuous. If I take 30 to 40 students, 30 to 40, the next line, what I have to take is 40, 50. Continuous. Can you see the word continuous? Next, tell me what should I take? 60. Very good. Next, 60 to 61. If this is continuous, we should have an opposite term, right? What is opposite term? Non-continuous. What do you take for non-continuous? Can you see what I have taken? 30 to 40. Next, 41 to 50. Very good. Then 51 to 2. The numbers are continuous in the first one. Can you see upper limit and the next lower limit are same? Upper limit and lower. This is known as continuous. The numbers are continuous. It's continuous. Next. Is this continuous or discontinuous? Yeah. This is discontinuous. That is the second type. First, let me explain continuous form. Then I'll tell you the difference. This is known as continuous. What's the other name for continuous given? Exclusive. The meaning of exclusive is, see, continuous is for the first table, the first one. Exclusive, continuous and exclusive. Exclusive is nothing but for frequency, students. The word exclusive belongs to frequency while counting it. Okay. Now, 30 to 40. Can you tell me all the numbers present between 30 to 40 here? How many? 35? 35. Tell me the numbers. 35, 40. How many times 35? How many times 35 is present? Let me write the data here. 35, 35. Next, tell me how many times 40 is present? 40 is present thrice. Okay, 3 times 40. Now, look here. When you're writing the data, students, they'll tell you to write in two forms, either continuous or discontinuous. When you write continuous, it should always be exclusive. The meaning of exclusive is when you're counting frequency, the number of times the data is present from 30 to 40. Now tell me all the numbers present from 30 to 40. How many? 5. Right? Now tell me from 40 to 50, tell me all the numbers. How many number is present? Only 150? Okay, I'll add another number, students. I'll add 47 and I'll add 46. Now tell me the numbers. 50, 46, 47 and 50. Now look here. From 30 to 40, students, 30 to 40 you told 5. What about 40 to 50? How many numbers are present? 42. No, here there is a confusion, right? Whether to include 35, 40. There's a confusion, right? Where if I tell 40 to 50, there's a confusion whether to include this 40, right? If I include 40, how much are we getting? How much are we getting, students? 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6. But in the first 30 to 40, how many times we included 40? From 30 to 40, we included 40 3 times. In the second column, again we included 3 times, right? Is it correct? This is wrong because 40 is present only 3 times, students, but totally we have counted is 6 times. From 30 to 40 also we have taken 40. From 40 to 50 also we have considered 40. So here I'll tell you how to take the values. Whenever it is in continuous form, we just calculate lower limit. We ignore the upper limit, students. We ignore the upper limit. So don't consider 40 here. Just consider numbers from 30 to 39. Tell me all the numbers from 30 to 39. How many numbers are there? Only two, right? Only two. So it will be 2 here. It will be 2. Now 40 to 50. 40 to 50. Which one you have to consider and which one you have to ignore? 50. Always consider the lower limit, students. Just ignore 50. So from 40 to 49. Tell me from 40 to 49. How many numbers are there? From 40 to 49. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many were 5? This 50 is given. Do you consider 50 in the second one? No. We should consider them in the third one. So what are we doing here? What are we doing? All the upper limits? We are including or excluding them. So that's the reason we call it as exclusive form. Do you understand what is exclusive? Why do we exclude students? If you don't exclude them, numbers are getting repeated, right? Therefore, more data are getting added. That is wrong. Wrong information. See, here I explained you all. Okay, I've erased it. Frequency is nothing but when you add up the entire thing, you should get this total. Whatever data are there here, you should get the total here. But if you take wrong values, if you keep repeating the values, you will get more data. That is wrong information. That's the reason. For continuous, we use exclusive form. We exclude the last value. Okay, we exclude the last value. Fine. What about the first table, which what I have written? Is it continuous or discontinuous? Look at the discontinuous, right? It is discontinuous. For discontinuous, the second term is inclusive. Inclusive, we include the upper limit and lower limit. Okay, we include upper limit and lower limit. Inclusive or discontinuous. Discontinuous interval. This is the difference between exclusive and inclusive form. There are two ways to write it. Two ways to group the data: 30 to 40, 41 to 50. Discontinuous. If it is discontinuous, what do we do with the upper limit and lower limit, students? We include or exclude? Yes, unmute and answer. We include or exclude? Why nobody is replying? My voice audible? Okay, for discontinuous, what do we do, students? For discontinuous, we include. Okay, we include both. Now tell me from 30 to 40, how many numbers are there? Look at the raw data from 30 to 40, 35, 42. Next, how many times 40 is present? 3 times. 35 is present twice. So total 5. 40 is right. Total 5. What did we do here? Did we include 40 or exclude 40? 40. Look at the second one, 41 to 50. Is 40 getting repeated? No, 40 is not present. 41 is present. So numbers will get arranged in order. There won't be any mismatch. The data will be perfect. That's the reason you include upper limit, lower limit. Right? So here sometimes you might get confused between discontinuous, exclusive, and continuous. Look here. Inclusive or discontinuous. Exclusive or continuous. Fine. So inclusive, exclusive. The word inclusive and exclusive is for frequency students, for counting frequency. Which one you have to include, which one you have to exclude. Okay. Now tell me, for inclusive, which one you include? For inclusive, you include both upper limit and lower limit. Tell me for exclusive, which one you include and which one you exclude. For exclusive, we exclude upper, upper, which means, look here, once again, 50 to 60 is given. 50 to 60. Take all the numbers present between 50 to 59. That is enough. Even if 60 is given, ignore. Don't write it here. Don't write in this table. All the 60, count it and write it in the second column, below column. Okay, inclusive, exclusive, discontinuous, continuous. Okay, how will you remember this? Inclusive and discontinuous. How will you remember, students? Inclusive and discontinuous. Don't know? See, relate it with the words. There should be any trick, right? If not, you'll get confused. Which is inclusive, which is exclusive. Okay, let me write like this. Tell me whether this is continuous or discontinuous, students. How do you check whether it is continuous or discontinuous? How is it continuous? And is 45 upper limit is repeated here? So continuous. It is if it is continuous, what will you do? If you come, if it is continuous, what will you do? Inclusive or exclusive? Why exclusive? If you count 45, how many times 45 will repeat it? It will get repeated in the first column and second column, right? 45 students. If you count the upper limit, it will get repeated. That's the reason we exclude the upper limit. Okay, like this you'll have to remember, exclude the upper limit. So what you do, inclusive the word I, it's a discontinuous. Can you see the first letter I? Discontinuous? Yes, remember like this. So exclusive will be continuous. Exclusive will be continuous, inclusive will be discontinuous. I. Okay, remember it like this. Or if you're thorough with all this concept, you'll easily understand. 35 to 45 is given. It is continuous. If it is continuous, I should exclude the upper limit. If not, 45 will get repeated. 50 will get repeated. 55 will get repeated. Okay, that is how you have to understand. Okay, up to 12:30 we start. Up to 2 o'clock I'll conduct. Fine. Up to 2. Yeah, take break, students. 125. We'll continue at 125. Any doubts before that? Any doubts in this? Whatever we explained, whatever I explained, all of you will stay online. Just a minute. Any doubts in this? Okay, can you tell me from the beginning what all we studied? Starting, we studied with data. Then, in data, how many types are there, students? Raw data and array. Array or arranged data. Raw data, arranged data. Then we studied frequency distribution table. Frequency distribution table. In frequency distribution table, how many types are there? Two types. Continuous and yes, exclusive. Fine. Take break. 125 will continue. The students, all of you online. Shall we start? Now look at your textbook. Now there are a few things which you have to mark. I have explained all this. There are a few things which I left. I'll explain using textbook. Look, data I explain students. The word data, set of numbers, basically numbers. That's it. Statistics I told you. Okay. Can you see statistics? What is given? Which deals with collection, representation, analysis, and interpretation. What is all this, students? Collection. We collected data, right? We collected data. We arranged them in order. We wrote it in a table. Analysis and interpretation. Analysis. We did. I asked you a few questions. Who scored the lowest marks, highest marks? Those are known as analysis and interpretation. Fine. Then read all this. Go through all this for MCQ. In singular format, we call statistics as a subject. In plural form, you call it as data. Plural is on collection. On a whole, we call it as data. Then, when it comes to numerical facts, look here. Qualitative characters like honesty, poverty. Can you measure honesty, poverty in terms of number? Is it possible? No. You can't measure them in terms of numbers. Honesty, poverty, right? All those cannot be mentioned. Next. Data are aggregates of facts. That is not required. Purpose. Oh, that is not required. Types of data. There are two types of data. Primary data, secondary data. What is primary? The data collected by investigator himself. I gave an example. Teacher collecting the data of students, marks. That is known as primary data. The data collected by someone other than investigator is known as secondary data. For example, I collect data, students. I collect homework. From students, I collect homework. This becomes primary data. Okay, primary. Imagine one student is absent. I tell her friend or his friend to collect. Fine. Example, Abigail. Abigail is absent. I tell Bhargavi to collect homework from Abigail. So what does that become? Primary or secondary? That becomes secondary. If I by myself collect it directly, we call it as primary. Fine. They might not ask all this, but just go through. Secondary is someone else collect. The data collected by someone other than investigator is known as secondary. Next, variable. See, variable. What's the meaning of word variable, students? Variable and constant. What is variable and constant? Variable meaning is something which varies, right? It keeps on changing. The values keeps on changing, right? Varies. So that is known as variable. Look at height, age, weight of pupil. Pupil is students in a class are known as variables. Okay. Your height keeps changing. Age also keeps increasing. Weight keeps increasing or decreasing. Anything which increase and decrease, we call it as variable. Increase or decrease. We call it as variable. Okay. What about your age? Age keeps increasing or decreasing? Increasing, right? The height, age, weight. What about weight? It can increase or decrease. All these are known as variables. All these are known as variables. Constant. What do you mean by constant, students? Which doesn't change. Okay. Constant. The meaning of constant is something which doesn't change. Right? Which never changes, known as constant. So variables you'll have to remember. Based on this, that we collect data. Whatever varies, we always take variables, data from variables. Data. Okay, whichever doesn't change, what's the point? We cannot collect any data. Whichever is constant, you can't collect data. So that is variable. In variable, there are two types: continuous variable, discontinuous. See, continuous variables, it can take even decimal numbers. Decimal. For example, salary. Look at wage of a worker, height of children, weight of person. See, weight can be 25.2 kgs, right? It can be 25, it can be 32.3 kgs, correct? There are decimals here, decimals, right? So some person can be 20 kg, some can be 20.1, some can be 20.2, 20.3. Is this continuous, right? From 20, it goes to 20.1, 20.2, 20.3. The numbers are continuous. So what do you call it, students? What do you call these variables as? Continuous variables. Discontinuous variables, very simple. Remember, continuous is which will take decimal. Continuous variables will take decimal value. Continuous variables will take decimal. Discontinuous variable will not take decimal. It will take only whole numbers. This is decimal. Okay. Discontinuous or discrete. Discontinuous or discrete variable will take only whole numbers. It will not take value between 1 and 2. That is what they have given here. For example, number of students. Now 8 students are attending. Okay, you can't tell 8.5 students, 8.3 students. It's not possible. These are known as discrete variables. When you collect information, you call discrete variables. So, number of students, height of students. I've given two class intervals here, students, two class intervals. So, which one comes under continuous, which one comes under discontinuous out of these two? If I give you a task to collect the data, number of students comes under which one, continuous or discontinuous? Simple. How do you collect number of data students data? Whole number or decimal numbers? Whole numbers. If you go to a class, how will you count students? 1, 2, 3, or will you count 1.5, 2.5? Is it possible? No. So number of students comes under which one? Continuous or discrete? Okay, whole numbers. What about height of students? Some can be 5.2 feet, 5.1, 5.3, right? Can you see decimal is also included? Decimal is also included. So it comes under which one? It comes under continuous variable. Continuous variable, right? So there's nothing difficult. Just understand the concept. Continuous. When I talk about continuous, decimal, even the numbers will get continuous. Decimal numbers. Next, range, variate, representation of data, frequency, frequency distribution. Okay, range is nothing but what is range? The difference between maximum and minimum value of a variable. Remember in the first example, what example I gave students? Marks. What was the least number we had? Least number was 35. Highest marks 95. The difference between them, 95 minus 35, 60. This is known as range. That is what they have given. The difference between maximum and minimum value of a variable. There the variable was marks. We took the variable marks. Marks will keep fluctuating, increase or decrease. That is the variable we took. Values is these values. Marks scored by the students, 35 to 95. Okay. So when it comes to range, ignore all the values, take the maximum and minimum. Find the difference between them. That is what you call it as range. Range is the difference between maximum and minimum. So these are the things you'll have to write. You write it in notes or just mark and study from textbook. It's your choice. Okay, I'll mark these things. Look here, I'll tell what to study. Just go through all this, students. All this is not required. Just go through variable up to continuous, discontinuous. These things you have to remember. Next, variate. See, when we talk about variables, marks is a variable. Some student got 35, 40, 45, 95, goes on. Each and every mark we call it as variate. What do you call? Each and every mark we call it as variate. In terms of frequency distribution, data we call variate. If not, in generalized term, we call it as marks. 95 is number, 45 is a number. Okay, we generally call them numbers. When it comes to subject, we call it marks. When it comes to frequency distribution, we call variates. Variate. A particular value of a variable. That's the meaning. A particular value of a variable is variate. Representation of data. What do you mean by representation of data? All of you will read this. Putting the data in condensed form. Condensed is arranged form. arranged in the form of a table. Remember, we did a table, we created a table, right? We created a table that is known as representation of data. Frequency. What is frequency, students? The number of times observation occurs. Repeat it. Okay, go through frequency. The number of times an observation is occurred. Observation is also known as variate. Observation is also known as variate. You're just observing the numbers. We are observing each student's marks and you're writing it. So variate, observation, marks, all this are same. Then last is frequency distribution. The tabular arrangement. This also I have done. I wrote all the data and arranged in form of table. The tabular arrangement. 1 minute. Yes, students, can you all see the screen? Is my voice audible? Okay, there was power cut. Fine. So this entire arrangement, what do you call? Entire arrangement, you call it as frequency distribution. Is this clear? All of you all understood? Any doubts so far? Yes. Any doubts in this? Yes, students, unmute and tell me. Okay, this is the main topic. This is the chapter's name, frequency distribution. Okay, so this entire class is only about, we couldn't solve anything. Just these things. You have to go through these things. Next, raw data or ungrouped. Can you see the word raw data? Arranged data or array data? We've already completed all this, right? Raw data is done. Go through later. Raw data, what is array? We have done. Can you see here? They have arranged it in order. 7, 8, 5. Is this raw data or arranged data, student? What is this? Is it arranged in ascending? No, it is not arranged. Random values are given. It is not arranged in array. What do you call this? Ascending or descending. Okay. And tally marks. Can you see tally marks? The word given here, small lines. I showed you all tally marks, right? To draw tally marks. So this is raw data. Raw data. Arrange them. Can you see the table? Whatever I explained, frequency table. What are the different numbers present here? What's the least number we have, students? Tell me the least number. 4. Tell me the different numbers. Tell me different numbers here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Do we have lot of numbers here or only few? We have only few numbers, right? And 9. Is there any, do we need to create group for this? Is grouping required? There are only less values. That's the reason they didn't group here. So, yes, when there is less value, look here, 4 and 9. The least value is 4, highest value is 9. Can you tell me the range? How do you calculate range for the students? What's the lowest value? Highest value is 9, lowest value is 9. What's the range we get? 9 minus 4 is 5. Range. Okay, that is what I explained. Range, yes. So in some question, they'll tell you to find range. Then group data. All this you can ignore or just go through once. I've already explained what is group data. When there are a lot of numbers, you group them. In grouping, there are two types. What are two types of grouping, students? Exclusive and inclusive. Right? Exclusive and inclusive. Yes, exclusive, inclusive. Now tell me the first one. Look at this table and tell me what are the values, students? 1 to 10, 11 to 20 is given. Inclusive or exclusive? Is it continuous or discontinuous? Can you see here? Discontinuous, discontinuous, continuous. In discontinuous, there is a word I here. So is it inclusive or exclusive? Inclusive or exclusive? Inclusive. What you have to include? When we talk about inclusive, what you have to include? Upper limit and both. Upper limit and lower limit. Both you have to include. Write the table. That is also done. Continuous, even this also I have explained what is continuous. These things are pending. From here, these things are pending. Okay. Important terms related to group data. These things are pending. We'll do it in the evening. All this is actually advanced topic. We'll do it in the evening. Now we'll start solving few questions. Okay. Shall we start solving questions now? Are there 15 minutes, students? 15 minutes. Up to 2 o'clock I'll conduct. All of you have taken. Yes, all of you have textbook with you all. Yeah, response textbook. Open your textbook. We'll start solving questions. It's a lengthy topic. Okay. Look, entire almost 1.5 hour only explanation. Fine. Lengthy topic, easy chapter to score marks. You'll get around 7 to 8 marks. Very easy to score marks in this. First one. Are these the same question given in your textbook? Can you check and tell me? Hmm. So look here. Define statistics as a subject. Did ma'am give answer to all this? The students, did ma'am give answers? Define statistics, primary. These are not there in the textbook. You have to. Each teacher would have given different answer. You'll have the answers or what? They didn't start. You'll have this for midterm, right? Okay. Which class ma'am started? In which class ma'am completed? 9A. Abigail and okay, fine. Did ma'am give Eileen Abigail? Ma'am give answers? Okay. For how many mains did ma'am give answers, students? No, no. These answers I'm asking about this. First main, second main. Did she give answers? Okay. Fine. Fine. First and second main, teachers will give students. That is definition. From third main, yes. The difference between maximum and minimum observation. What do you call? The difference between maximum and minimum in a data is called, what's the answer? Not variable. The difference between maximum and minimum. What's the formula here? Range, correct. Can you see a range is given? Difference between maximum and minimum, we call it as range. The answer is range, students. Yes. All these are MCQ questions. Range. Next. The number of observation in class interval. The number of observations. Yes. Number of observations in a class interval is called dash of the interval. The midpoint of the class interval. Lower limit. Okay, the midpoint of the class interval is called. The second and third one you'll skip. I don't know what teachers would have given. What is the answer given? Abigail and Eileen. Can you tell me the answer? Yes, students, unmute and tell me. Okay. Next. Okay. Class marks. Frequency class marks. Okay. Take down the direct answers. Go through this, students. Fill in the blanks. If not, again I have to show all this one. Whatever sentence they have given. Fine. Here I'll tell you all. See, whenever you group 24 to 30, 30 to 40, what do you call this? Lower limit or upper limit? What do you call 24? What about 30? 30? Lower limit in this class interval, what is lower limit? What's the answer, students? 24 is the answer. Yes. Quickly make a note of this: range, frequency, class marks. Okay, evening 5:30. Do you have any class at 5:30? Okay, I'll conduct at 5:30. Mostly today and given. Oh, is it given in textbook? Okay, just check and let me know, students. 24. See, words you all tell me. Other things you all don't check. We'll calculate. What is upper limit from 16 to 20? What is upper limit? 20. Okay. The class marks of the class interval. Class marks. Fine. We have to calculate the class marks. Okay. Class marks. What's the answer given for class marks of the class interval? Okay. These two I didn't explain, students. 7, 6 and 7. I didn't explain. Class mark. Look, I've kept it pending. We'll do it evening. Where is that class marks? Can you see your class size and class marks? Formula? Yeah, I didn't explain all this. I didn't explain. So keep it pending. We'll do it later. See, these things are fixed. Range, frequency, class marks. You can check your textbook and answer. I mean, you can go through the answer. But when it comes to numbers, you have to calculate. Those things I'll teach you all. Okay. Next, find the range. What's the formula for range, students? How do you find range? Minimum marks, minimum minus. Oh, that's the formula they've given. Highest value minus lowest. Calculate the range for both the questions. Completed. Calculate the range. Okay. Delicia, did you understand? Are you following Delicia, Tony, Dia? Okay. Is Delicia online? See, whatever I explain, students, continuously if you had followed, you'll understand. Even in between one or two sentence or topics you missed, it is difficult. Raw data, array data, how to count, continuous, discontinuous. In textbook, it is too lengthy. That's the reason I explained. In textbook, you won't even understand what they've given. Okay, next one, range. How do you find range, students? Tell me the formula. 21 minus, answer. What is the least number? The answer is second question. What is the highest value? 8. Okay. Fifth one, keep it pending. Evening. Fifth one, we'll do it evening or next week. We'll start. We haven't started that fifth one. Next one. Sixth question. Okay, here, what is the difference between continuous and discrete variable, students? I told you all, what is continuous? Continuous will take decimal numbers, right? Continuous will take decimal numbers. This specific point is not given in textbook. Even if you read, you won't understand. What about discrete? Discrete will not take decimal. It will only take whole numbers. Complete value. Yes, complete. Now, maximum marks obtained by a students in a class. Sorry, marks obtained. Is it continuous or discrete? This discrete. See, you all get marks on out of 100. Will ma'am write 93.2? Even if you score 95, 95, 95 and half, they'll round it off, right? Have you seen writing 95.5? 95? No, they won't write. 96, they'll round it off. That means discrete, whole numbers. What's the answer? Discrete. Second question, temperature. What is temperature, students? Have you seen the temperature increase and decrease? Will this have decimal? Just go through this. Will it have decimal or whole number? That is what I want. Temperature will have decimal or whole number. Temperature will have decimal. Okay. Today's temperature, if you check 21.2 degrees Celsius, 32.3 degree Fahrenheit, like this. So if it is decimal, it comes under which one? Decimal comes under, yes, IQ of students of a class. See, IQ is also decimal students, IQ. Intelligent quotient, that is a different concept. Even this, you can show it in terms of decimal value. If it is decimal, it is continuous. Okay, weight. What is weight here? Weight can be whole number or it can be even in decimal. Weight. It can be even in decimal. Have you all checked your weight in weighing machine? It can be even in decimal weight, right? 40.5, 40.5, yes. Distance travel. What about distance travel by a train? Yes, distance travel can be 1.5 kilometers, 1.6. I missed out a question here. Number of car accidents in a city. How do you calculate car accidents, students? How many car has crashed? Have you heard 2.5 car being crashed? 2.3 cars? No, whole numbers. We need whole numbers here. So this entire main is all about whole number and decimal. You have to be able to figure out whole number and decimal number. Okay. Again, how will you all remember whole number and decimal number? If it is whole number, it is discrete. If it is decimal, it is continuous. Is there any word to match them? Discrete, continuous. I mean decimal, continuous. Fine, it is easy to understand, right? Whenever decimal is given, it is continuous. See, 1 and 2 students. 1 and 2 is whole number. In between them, what are the numbers we get? 1.1, 1.2. Can you see the number is continuous? There is no gap. 1.1, 1.2. That comes under continuous. What about seventh main? You see, all this ignore students. Definition, they'll never ask definition in mathematics. Ignore this. If not, I've marked. All this I've marked. Okay, cancel. Variable, class interval, class size, class marks, everything they have. You have all the definition here. 100% they won't give. In spite of that, if you have any doubts, if you want, you just go through that. Okay. Seventh main. According to me, you can just ignore students. Just ignore because there are a lot of important questions apart from that. Only for MCQ you will get. You won't get for 1, 2 marks, 3 marks. Definition they'll never ask. They'll just ask MCQ. We already studied MCQ here. Can you see here? The difference between maximum and minimum. This is how they'll ask students. The answer is range. So just go through. Look here, I'll give an example. Where is that? Okay. This frequency. The number of times an observation occurs is called what? The number of time an observation occurs. What do you call? So they'll ask MCQ. They'll give you 4 options. They'll give you frequency. They'll give you variate. They'll give you variable and range. So which option will you choose? Which option? Yes. So that I've told you how you'll get. I can't frame question students. It's a lengthy process to write each and every question. I've given an idea on how you'll get the question. Just go through this. This main important terms. From here you'll get at least one question. They'll either ask you range, variable, variate, frequency or frequency distribution. Other things just ignore. Ignore all this. I'll teach later. Okay, now one question. Another 2 minutes, 5 minutes left. We'll solve one question. Look at the 8th question, all of you. Read the 8th one. Following data gives a number of children in how many families? Represent in the form of frequency distribution, students. Frequency distribution. First, is it arranged data or raw data? Raw data. Arrange. You can arrange it in ascending order or descending order. Or you can even do it directly. I don't know how your teacher has done. Always start with ascending order. Ascending. Tell me what's the least number we have? 0. Even if it is repeated. I'll solve 8th question, 9th question you will have to do it. From 10th we'll continue evening. Even if it is repeated, you have to write it. How many times 0 is repeated? 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, how many times 1 is repeated? 7, 1. You have to write it like this 7 times. Next, after that, what is repeated, students? 2, right? We have 2. Okay. You can do it later. 2 is repeated for a certain number of time. You can write it later. Then what are the numbers we have after 2? What do we have? 3, 6, 4. After that, 5. Next, what do we have? 6. 6 is the last. And what are these, students? What are these? Number of what data? Number of children. Number of children, or you can write class interval. Number of children. Number of children. 4 marks question. 4 or 3 marks. You can easily score in this chapter. Number of children, or we usually call it as class interval. Your class interval is not required. Now my question is, do we need to group here or can we write directly? How many different numbers? How many different numbers are there? There are more numbers or less? Less. 0 to minimum number is 0. Maximum is 6. Yeah, there are only less numbers. So you don't need to group anything. You can write directly. So you have to write number of children in the first column. Number of children. Next. No, not number of children. Yes, number of children in 40 families. Number of children. Next. What are the numbers you have to write, students? Start 0. Next. 1. Write all the numbers which are present. 1, 2. What are the different numbers present? 6. Second column, what will you write? Second column, tally marks. Third column, frequency. Once you write, arrange them in ascending. This is the homework. Before evening class, try at least one question. Tally marks, draw it like this. How many zeros were present? 4 zeros. Frequency will be 4. In the same way, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 4, 6. Is it clear? Did you all understand how to solve? All of you understood? Okay. Next, 9th onwards, I'll teach you all, students. Only one question is enough. 9th onwards. Can you see the last part given in the 9th one? What is given? 10 to 15 and 15 not included. What do you mean by this 10 to 15? They're asking us to group or write it individually? Yes, they have told us to group. Not included is given. Not included meaning is, what's the other name for not included? Inclusive or exclusive? Exclusive. We use exclusive table here. These are the words they'll give. Look here. Exclusive. Excluded. Excluded. Words will be given. Based on that, we have to find the table. Okay, try 8th question. Complete the 8th question. Write it neatly and send a pic, students. Let me check. And what time you'll have to attend evening? Evening 5:30. We'll try to complete at least 5 to 6 questions. We'll complete. Okay, that's it for this session. You all can leave. All of you all can leave.